Hey there, welcome back. So, today I am going to detour a little bit from emotional intelligence, confidence, so forth. I get as many people who ask me about the business of coaching as I do people who are interested in hiring me as their coach. So, today in this video, I want to talk about the business of coaching, or at least a part of it. So we're going to go over three things. We're going to go over how to find your clients. We're going to go over what do I have? Credentials. Are credentials necessary? Like certifications. And we're going to go talk a little bit about what to charge or how to determine what your fee is going to be if you are starting as a coach. Now, my name is Lisa Medley. I am an executive coach. And as an executive coach, I help Black women lead with confidence. I have been coaching now for about 10 years. I went back to graduate school in 2012. I got my master's of science in executive coaching. I graduated that program in 2014. I started coaching back in 2012 and finished the program in 2014. I've been coaching ever since. So I've got a solid 10 years under my belt, a solid decade. And if you want to count my managerial coaching and experience as a coach, as a leader, it's a whole nother ball game. I am ICF certified. I am board certified. And again, I have a master's of science in executive coaching. So I am well equipped to lead you down this path. So hang in there with me. Do me a favor. And if you're not following me, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if this video in any way helps you, and hit the notification button so you know when I post new content. So let's get into it. I want to start with clients. So this video is inspired by a couple of conversations I had last week. People wanted to know, in your journey, what was it like? What would you do differently? What did you wish you knew? Yada, yada. But some of the themes that come up when I have these conversations with individuals is, where do I find my clients? How do I get started? Now, there are a lot of ways to get clients, but I've made notes here of just a few for your consideration. And one of the things I encourage you to do as an emerging coach, doesn't matter if you're a life coach, if you're a business coach, if you're an executive coach, if you're a leadership coach, career coach, we got coaches, all kinds of coaches. Start with who and what you know. Um, and I say that because when you're getting started, there's already a lot of things you have to navigate through and figure out. Why make things harder for yourself? So if you are already in a firm, for example, and you want to get some coaching practice, coaching hours, build your coaching muscle, reach out to people in your across your firm, right there where you work, and offer your coaching. That's exactly what I did, as a matter of fact. I worked for a financial institution, and I went to different leaders who I knew had challenges on their teams, and I offered my services as a coach. I would maybe get one, two people, coach 1 hour once a week, and build my muscle, and they appreciated it, right? Because they were getting help. I appreciated it because I was getting the hours. So sometimes you can start right where you are in your workplace. Another place to think to get coaching clients is nonprofits. Nonprofits are all often cash strapped. So you may want to find your local nonprofit and offer them coaching for their staff, for their leadership team. You could offer coaching for their board of directors, their board of advisors, their task force. I've done this as well. And the one organization I can think of right off was actually a paid engagement. I wasn't paid top dollar, but I was paid. And we had a sort of a semi retreat. So nonprofits are always looking for additional assistance. And if you're looking to sharpen your coaching skills, get more hours, find clients, nonprofits may be the place for you. Universities, schools now, universities have what they call success coaches. And sometimes you could find a position, either a paid position or a volunteer position, to help coach their students, right? So you want, now this all depends on who you see yourself helping. I'm just throwing things out there, and whatever sticks for you or works for you, works for you. But universities is another option. Your church, well, that can go in the nonprofit bucket, but I set it to the side and by itself because churches often have life groups. Some churches have ministries that are segmented based on demographic, gender, for example, divorcees, parenting. And so, if you have a specific niche already identified, a church may be the place for you. Keep in mind, too, that when you coach in a spiritual or religious environment, you don't have to be well versed in the Bible because that's not what coaching is. They may want you to be, right? That's a whole nother animal. If they require you to be steeped in the Bible or whatever the tradition or the religion is, whatever they use, their tools, they may want you to be well versed. I don't want you to count yourself out because you are not, because coaching really isn't about that. Okay. Boutique firms. So I use the term boutique firms. Think about a BetterUp, which is probably not a boutique firm anymore. BetterUp has gotten pretty large, but there are a lot of unique, smaller coaching organizations getting off the ground who are looking for a bench of coaches, and you could very well, uh, you know, work for one of those places and get paid. Again, it may not be top dollar, but you could earn something. So, quick rundown. Your current organization, small or large, nonprofits, universities, your church or your church community. Well, as a matter of fact, even your community, your neighborhood, right? They have those, I can't think of the name of the website, but it's like Nextdoor or something like that. You could advertise on Nextdoor and advertise your coaching services. The Chamber of Commerce is somewhere. I didn't think about that. A lot of these business organizations that have chapters in AAC, not in AACP, Urban League may have something, and then boutique firms. So that's just a list of organizations and ways you can find a client. Now, when you find them, you must know a little something about coaching. Okay. So now we're going to move into the credential conversation. Do I need a credential? Well, my answer is, and I have a credential again, I do have an ICF certification. My answer is it depends. It really depends on who you want to work with. If you want to work with organizations, top organizations, my answer is yes. You probably want to pursue an ICF certification. Now, ICF is the global leader in certifications. Some people don't like it. There are people who fight it, but it is what it is, folks. So if you aspire to coach for the Bank of Americas of the world, the Lowe's, Home Depot, if you want to be a coach for any of these prominent organizations, you probably want to pursue a credential. Caveat, not all organizations require it. It is my experience in the last 10 years that it's being requested more and more. When I first started, not so much. People wanted to know that you had leadership experience if you were interested in coaching leaders. People wanted to know, organizations wanted to know you had a significant work history. Now I am beginning to see more and more and more the request for the coaching credential, right, from organizations. Having said that, if you want to coach individuals, if you want to coach nonprofits, churches, some of the smaller boutique firms, most times they're not looking for that. The advantage for me has been that my ICF certification has opened doors. I know for a fact that I have been employed by organizations because they have specifically asked for this ICF certification. But I've worked for just as many where it does not matter. So I say to you, it really depends on who you're after helping, where you want to coach, who you want to coach for, and what they believe is important. Do your homework. Don't take my word for it. Don't take her word for it or his word for it. You've really got to get out here and think about the types of jobs you are seeking as a coach. If you're going to run your own business and you're going to pitch yourself, who are you pitching yourself to, and do they care? What does their bench look like of coaches? And if you just want to coach individuals or your own group, you don't have to have it. Most clients don't require it. Most clients just want to feel like they can trust you. So again, it all depends. I am not pro one or the other. I am pro ICF because for me, it was a decision I made to, I really I wanted the credential, I wanted the credibility that comes along with the credential. And as a Black woman 10 years ago, quite frankly, I believed I needed it. There are a lot more Black women coaches now than there ever were. But when I started, it wasn't a whole lot of people that looked like me. And I felt like I needed it to stand up to the competition, right? I needed to that. Y'all know how it is. Enough of that. Okay, last, what to charge? Well, that's going to be another it depends. I'll give you a couple of things to think about. First of all, I want you to know that it's not a science. Well, maybe it is a science. I don't have a formula for you. What I know is there are things you have to consider. Thing one is your experience. How long have you been doing it? Who have you done it for? What does your profile look like or your portfolio? What are your credentials? Do you have them or don't you? One thing that is true about a credentialed coach is you can demand pay. It's just like any other profession. Social workers, doctors, nurses, lawyers, accountants, all of them have a credential process. And when you have a credential, you can often charge more for it. The size of the organization, the size, in this case, size matters. So the larger the organization, the larger their discretionary fund. If you are coaching for a Bank of America, they have one set of dollars or buckets, EY, any of those places. If you are coaching Mary Smith, her purse strings look a little different. Now, you could be going, Mary Smith could be a CEO. And so that's another example. So it really depends on, and really should have talked about niche. Maybe we'll do that the next time. It really depends on your niche and who you're after. But if you're getting started and you don't really know who your people are, who you're going to coach or go after as clients, you have to think about things like the experience you bring to the table, years of experience in terms of work, your coaching experience, your coaching credentials, your client's budget, right? So the size of the client, the organization, or the purse strings of the person, the demand for coaching. During COVID, there was a high demand. What a lot of coaches saw, and you could be one of them, is a significant dip in their client roster after COVID was over. There was a significant George Floyd, that unfortunate incident, that horrific incident created a wave of requests for coaching because all these organizations were essentially saying that they cared about Black people and they wanted to do better. And so that opened the floodgate for people like me, maybe like you, for coaching opportunities. And as we got away from the murder of George Floyd, the dollars started to dwindle, and now they're taking, kind of peeling back DEI and all this other stuff. So it really depends on the demand and the market, what you charge. Also, it depends on your offer. What is the client getting because they're hiring you as a coach? Are they getting, and when I say that, I mean, what are the number of sessions you're going to offer them? How long are the sessions? Are you adding assessments, which is something else we could talk about? Boy, coaching is getting started is there's a lot to consider. And so I don't want you to rush into it, but a lot of these things have a lot of moving parts. And so when you think about what you're going to charge, you really want to think about what you're going to offer. Your Not only your experience, what you bring to the table, but what does a client literally receive? What are the outcomes? What are your promises? What are you going to do for them? And how much does that mean to them? Okay? So we've covered three things. We've covered how to get started with your clients, where you can go to find them. We talked a little bit about credentials, and we talked about a little bit about charging. Do your research. Back to fees and charging. Do your research. You can go out there on Google. A lot of coaches do not post their prices, their fees. Some do. Dig around. The ICF may be a treasure trove of information. They do a global study every year, and oftentimes they put they chart or put on a graph what coaches are charging across the country, across the world. So you want to do your research. Ask people you know who coach if they're willing to share with you. Most of them are going to say it depends, because it depends. I have a set rate, and I have a set rate, It depends. It depends on who's asking, what they want, the scope of the work, how long it's going to take me to do it, how much research I have to do, how much time I'm going to have to spend. Am I going to purchase assessments? How many sessions? How long? Do I have to do reporting, check-ins? There are all kinds of things that you have to consider when you come up with your fees. So I hope this was helpful to you. I would love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your questions. If you want a part two, put in the comments what else you want me to talk about, what else you want to know, and I'll come right back. And maybe I'll even do a live, and we can like go back and forth and have some real dialogue about it. This is important stuff, and I want you to win. So until next time, I want you to take care. I want you to remember to subscribe, hit the notification button, like this if this was helpful, share it if you loved it, and I'll see you next time.